Second worst thing to ever happen to the internet is social media. Because social media thinks that it is the judge, jury, and executioner of everybody and everything and every opinion. And we get to the point where we care about words and not actions. A la what happened to Al Michaels last night with his joke belittling Harvey Weinstein by making him the butt of a joke about the Giants. Nonetheless, Harvey Weinstein's in a lot of trouble. Now there's a British actor who is accusing him of rape. And so now he is being investigated by Scotland Yard as well as the FBI and NYPD. I don't know about LAPD, but possibly. So he could have like 5 or 6 law enforcement agencies sniffing around, investigating him, and he's in all kinds of trouble. British actress Lisette Anthony says that she claims that Harvey Weinstein attacked her at her London home in the late 1980s, while another identified woman says she was raped in 1992. The organization behind the Oscars has voted to expel Weinstein, and his brother has called him sick and depraved. Legal expert Quentin Brogdon is a former prosecutor with more than 25 years of courtroom experience, and he might have an idea what's about to happen next for Weinstein, who is at some rehab facility in Arizona. What's going on, Quentin? How are you?
Good morning. Good morning, Leon. How are you?
All right, so let's start with this. How much trouble is Weinstein in, seriously? In 2 countries. This is international now.
He's in a whole mess of trouble. His reputation and career, no doubt, probably are now gone. He's talked about trying to get a second chance, but it's difficult to see that happening. He's in potential criminal jeopardy in America, in Britain, and in France. And then civil jeopardy, meaning people suing him and his company, the Weinstein Company, for money. That's coming around the pike as well, I predict. So he's in a bunch of legal jeopardy.
With the Weinstein Company essentially dissolving itself as we speak, what kind of liability remains for them? If the company doesn't exist, who do they sue civilly?
Well, they can sue Harvey Weinstein individually if there are facts to support it, and I don't know whether there are or not. They can sue the higher-ups, such as Bob Weinstein, the brother, and others within the company who allegedly knew and enabled this, at least according to some. This is allegedly a pervasive pattern that goes back about 30 years, and it involved company employees on occasion, particularly other women, who would go into these meetings and then leave Weinstein by himself with some of the women he's accused of assaulting.
The contract that Weinstein had appeared to give him a loophole, basically, and the most egregious part of this whole thing for me was that it appeared to allow Weinstein and company to profit from Harvey Weinstein's dalliances. When he would pay a woman to keep quiet, he also had to pay a fine to his company. Could they be liable for designing a contract that allows them to profit from the misbehavior of an employee?
Well, it could be part of a pattern of evidence to show that there was knowledge and an enablement by the company. And, the issue will be in discovery, were there emails or there memos? What types of actions did the company pay? Did they allow and approve payouts to some of these women? What did they know? And what should they have done in response to it? That will be the issue. And how much enabling, if any, did they do?
So basically, everybody associated with upper management at Weinstein and Company is going to be having their emails combed through by law enforcement agencies for the foreseeable future.
Potentially. The law enforcement issue will be more of a focus on Weinstein individually, whereas the civil case, I predict, will focus as much or even possibly more on his company in addition to Weinstein.
Well, it'll focus on it'll focus where the money is.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So if there's more money to be had by going after former principals of the company, if it's dissolved or the company itself, is there any reason why a judge might step in now and be like, okay, y'all hold the phone on dissolving this thing because we need to make sure there's some assets in place in case can that happen, or is that outside the legal pay? I'm not a legal expert, so I don't know.
It's possible. And usually for this type of thing, there's no insurance in place that would provide a defense to any kind of civil judgment, usually. Right. Sexual assaults are excluded under insurance policies, so right. It would be real assets of the company and or the principals of the company probably that would be in play and need to be in play to pay any civil judgment.
All right. As a 25-year prosecutor, how likely is Harvey Weinstein to spend time in jail based on the facts we know right now, if they weigh out to be true. It's really hard to prove rape 10, 15 years after the fact, isn't it?
That's right. It becomes a he said, she said occurrence, particularly if it happened years earlier. Some of the evidence will be corroboration. What did the victim say at or near the time of the occurrence? And is there forensic evidence, meaning is there physical evidence? Years have passed, probably not. We won't have what we had, the stained dress, quite probably, that was in the Bill Clinton, infamously in that circumstance. But that will have to be played out in the courts. What is the evidence? We're hearing about a bunch of other accusers, but for instance, in the Cosby criminal case that mistrialed, all of them were not allowed to testify. Mm-hmm. So Cosby was convicted largely in the court of public opinion based on our knowledge from the news that there were all these women who had made these accusations, but the jurors in the Cosby case were allowed to consider only a much smaller subset of those other claims.
Gotcha. All right. So long-term assessment, you think he goes to jail or just ends up broke?
I think there's a good probability of him doing some jail time. He has, if I say these accusations pan out, if some of them do, they're serious. They're felonies, some of them, based on the nature of the accusations. So if they're proved against him, absolutely, he definitely faces jeopardy of jail time.
How do the systems of justice fare differently in, say, England and France? Is it easier? Would it be easier to convict him in those countries than here, or vice versa?
Well, in France, generally, they don't have the jury system, not nearly to the degree we do. Many of the decisions are made by judges. Many people remember, for instance, in South Africa, the runner who shot his girlfriend through, the sprinter who shot his girlfriend through the bathroom door. That trial went before a judge, not before a jury. And so the ability of a jury to weigh in, which in America he will have, even in England, is lessened. It's not to the same degree, and most definitely in France is not to the same degree.
So he's got a better shot at getting
judges weighing in.
Yeah, so he'd have a better shot at getting convicted in those countries then, probably.
It's hard to say. It depends on who that judge is. Your jury or your judge is all determining.
Yeah, well, and here it might be possible. He might actually have a better shot over there of getting off scot-free because here, public opinion is already NFL announcers are having to apologize for making Harvey Weinstein the butt of their jokes because that's considered insensitive. So I think nationally, the case is won here. So Quentin Brogdon, a legal expert, thanks, buddy. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, have a good one.
Welcome into First News on 570. Certainly glad to have you along for the ride. Obviously, one of the stories that has been dominating the news cycle right now is the nonsense happening out at in Hollywood with Harvey Weinstein being accused of rape now in 2 different countries, as well as all the sexual assault accusations that are coming out. And I thought it'd be a good idea to try to figure out, okay, so where does it go from here and what could happen next? And we are lucky enough to have a prosecutor with us with more than 25 years of courtroom experience. His name is Quentin Brogdon. And Quentin, thank you so much for your time this morning. We certainly appreciate it. I would imagine as a lawyer, this has got to be an interesting case for you to kind of watch from 30,000 feet.
Good morning, Mark. It is an interesting case. I'm a former prosecutor, but yes, it's quite interesting.
Now, as far as how this is all going to play out from here, with the rape charges, we know the NYPD has now reopened the investigation into some of those allegations, but there have been women that have accused him of rape. So are we just kind of waiting for formal charges to be filed, or is there going to be an issue with some of these because of the time frame that surrounds them?
Well, the New York police right now are looking at an incident dating back to 2004. When that incident occurred, New York had a 5-year statute of limitations, meaning that after 5 years, if the charge wasn't brought, it could not be brought. But there was a 2006 law passed after that removed that restriction and allowed charges to be brought at any time. Mm-hmm. So at least some of these, including apparently this New York 2004 complaint by a woman named Lucia Evans, can proceed forward on the criminal side. I also predict we're going to see civil cases where people are suing Harvey Weinstein himself and his company, the Weinstein Company, with claims that the company was complicit in this, for monetary damages. So I think we're going to see both types of cases going forward, criminal and civil.
Now, there have also been allegations from England and over in London by people there. How does that side of it play into this?
Well, London can prosecute him, presuming they get jurisdiction over him, for his own separate crimes in England. There's a British soap actress named Lizette Anthony who's claiming, it's been a number of years ago now, that he sexually assaulted her. So, yes, in France as well, there are French models who've come forward. And, in fact, the French president, Emmanuel Macron, is starting the process to strip Harvey Weinstein of the Legion d'Honneur, their high honor that was awarded to Weinstein in 2012. So, yes, he has problems, we know, at least in both Britain and France, arising out of this same type of alleged conduct that this Hollywood A-list has come forward. An A-list, I might say, of accusers such as Ashley Judd, Gwyneth Paltrow, Angelina Jolie. Literally, there are dozens. Some names you'll know, some names we don't know. Many of them were aspiring actresses who didn't necessarily later make it, at least to the point we know them, but coming forward with similar tales.
As far as jail time goes, I mean, he could very, very likely see the inside of a jail cell for a long time if some of these accusations are brought to court and charges are filed and he's found to be guilty.
Sure. We just need to look no further than the recent Cosby episode and how that has played out and is still playing out. We had a criminal trial with a hung jury in that case, but that similar type of future probably is waiting for Harvey Weinstein, namely numbers of accusers coming forward, numbers of potential legal jeopardy issues clouding over his head for some time to come now.
Right. My guest this morning has been former prosecutor with 25 years of experience in the courtroom, Quentin Brogdon. And Quentin, thank you so much for your time this morning. We certainly appreciate all your expertise, and we'll look forward to having you on the show again real soon.
Thanks, Mark. We'll all be watching this closely, no doubt.
You got it. Thanks so much. We appreciate it.